to the birds awakening the day.
My name is Reggie Mattis with RMVRG, and welcome to the Revitalize Hope webpage. And today I want to talk about sexual harassment. But in order to cover a broad range of what goes into sexual harassment, sexual assault, rape, I'm going to just use one word, sexual misconduct, throughout this. But please don't assume that I am trying to lessen the impact of any form of sexual harassment, assault, or misconduct, or rape, or anything. But sexual misconduct, just so we know what we're talking about, and that covers a broad range of the whole spectrum, pretty much. Any conduct that's inappropriate sexually. So sexual misconduct is what I'm going to say. So please don't take offense to that. And also, as we get into this discussion, I know that we are not going to agree. Some people are going to agree with some of the things I say. Some people are not going to agree with some of the things I say. But that's the purpose of having this type of dialogue, so people can express and get out. And the ultimate goal is we have to have dialogue to where we can actually talk about sexual misconduct of any form and be able to come up with a resolution so we understand each other. That means men and women understand each other, how to prevent it, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, and matter of fact, reporting it. So all of this needs to be discussed. Now, I'm just going to hit on general topics here, and I'm really going to be discussing some of my personal feelings of what's going on and what has taken place recently. I am hurt by a lot of it that a lot of things that have occurred. The biggest one for me was Kevin Spacey. I think he's a great actor. I still think he's a great actor. Despite what happened, I don't discredit his work. But it shocked me that Kevin Spacey was involved in a form of sexual misconduct. But like I said, we never know what goes on in a person's life. So, with that being said, first thing I want to say is we need to be able to have dialogue about this without people attacking each other. We have to, because we have to understand, first of all, that sexual misconduct is not only a women's only issue. It is also a men's issue. If you look at the EEOC website for the government, EEOC.gov, they have statistics for men who have filed complaints of sexual misconduct in some form. And they also have it for women. So what you have to understand is, if we're going to say that we want to get rid of sexual misconduct, then we need to make sure that it is a balanced plane. We need to make sure that we're not just saying women, protect women. We need to protect everybody, men and women. Because if you want everybody to be on board with this, that means you have to discuss the fact that women should not be doing it, men should not be doing it. So it needs to be a zero tolerance for all genders. All genders across the board. It should not be tolerated. And everybody needs to be educated. So you can't just keep going after men, talking about, men this and men that, and, men in the workplace, because there are women who have and are guilty of sexual misconduct. The difference between men and women is, men have this thing to where some men just won't report it unless it gets really bad. Because, there's a thing about, if a man comes up and say, well, you know what, I want to report this woman, she's sexually harassing me, you kind of get laughed at. Well, you're weak, you can't handle a woman. But here's the thing, if that woman is your employer and you can't get a promotion, you can't get a raise because you're not giving in to her sexual harassment or sexual advances, well, you're in the same boat as a female would be if a male was doing it to her. So we need to make sure that when we talk about eliminating and preventing and stopping sexual misconduct of any form, that we cover the whole spectrum. That everybody is included in that. That this applies to men and it also applies to women. And like I said, This dialogue needs to be opened up to where men can talk about it and not be attacked. And it needs to be the same thing for women. A woman can voice her opinion and not be attacked. So dialogue is important, and balance is extremely important, because a lot of things now is like, it's okay, protect the women, but don't protect the men. And that's what a lot of guys are feeling like. There's no protection for men. So if you really want to say that you want to make this a true resolution and look to preventing sexual misconduct, then you need to speak on both sides, men and women. No sexual misconduct will be tolerated. Women do not have any sexual conduct against men, and men do not behave inappropriately with any sexual misconduct with women. It needs to be balanced. You cannot throw one under the bus. And now, I know somebody's already saying, well, women experience more sexual harassment than men. Well, that may be true. And I don't doubt that. I do not doubt that. And I'm not debating that. But would it be fair to say too that, I don't want to get into who gets in more. The point is, it needs to be stopped evenly. It should not seem like this only applies to men. It should also apply to women. The same principles that this would not be tolerated should apply to women as well as men. But you don't hear it spoken about when it comes to women misbehaving or causing sexual misconduct, because it doesn't get the same publicity as it does if a male does it. But the thing about it is, there are a lot of women who don't report it, and I am sure, and I know the women's statistics are higher. Men, on the other hand, don't report it, so their statistics, it's probably still not going to be as high as the women, but I guarantee you it's more than what it is. I think in 2016 it was like 16%, but that does you no good if I can't remember the other, what was the total number of people that reported it. But the thing about it is, it needs to be even. It doesn't matter. If 70% of men was reporting sexual misconduct and only 10% of women, it still needs to be treated equally, like 50-50, point blank. Okay, I'm not going to harp on that, but that was my little point for that. The other thing, like I said, Matt Damon made his comment. And one of the things I took from his comment, and I do agree with him. A lot of stuff he said, I do agree with, because I don't think Matt Damon was trying to be negative. I don't think he was trying to, say like, oh, these people are innocent. No, he wasn't saying that. He made the comment that, someone who's patted on the butt, we can't categorize that in the same manner as someone who was raped. And you know what? You can't. There are different levels in between of sexual misconduct. So you can't punish somebody for a pat on the butt the same way you would someone who was raped. Because someone who was raped, I would be offended. Me sitting in a room with a group of people and a woman says I was raped and she told her story, then this person sitting over here says, oh, well, this guy patted me on my butt and it's so dramatic. Granted, she shouldn't have been touched without consent. He had no right to touch her. But if she says, I understand what you mean when you've been raped because we went through the same thing. No, you didn't go through the same thing. You had two totally different experiences that I don't wish anybody to have to go through. The other thing I feel is, I think the whole sexual misconduct needs to start, this needs to be implemented in the education system early. Right now, I don't think it's being implemented. I'm going to research that a little more, but I think that needs to be implemented earlier with the younger generation. I know in college, it's a big thing. And most colleges do have a program to where they talk about it. They do lessons about it. They really hit hard at the beginning of the school year, and a couple times through the school year, they have little classes or sessions about sexual misconduct. But when kids are in high school, in junior high school, you still have all this touching and stuff going on. But the thing about it is, there's no real education about it at that level. So it's not the kids get in college that they're really starting to hear about it and kind of see it. But the college environment a good place. It's a good place to learn about it. But kids are really distracted in college because so much is thrown at you. You're away from home. You're away from your parents. All of a sudden, you got all this freedom. It depends on who you get with, who you group. I mean, it's a lot that plays into it. Like I said, that doesn't condone it. But I think the education part of this needs to start taking place before college. Because you got some people who don't go to college. So they're not getting that real introduction to it. Some people don't get introduced into sexual misconduct training until they take their first job. Some companies actually have trainings, yearly trainings, to kind of keep people reminded, like, hey, our company doesn't tolerate this. It is prohibited in the workplace. But some jobs don't. So I think the education part of this needs to start younger and before we get kids in college. This needs to start taking place in high school and junior high schools. It needs to start taking place sooner. So that goes to male and females. I think that needs to be said because it just seems like when a person's in a position of authority, that sometimes people would try to use men would try to use their physique and women would try to use their charm. In certain cases, not all, in certain cases, to try to get ahead a little bit or get what they want. And let's be honest, have you not heard that sometimes, I've heard women say, oh, when I go to the store, I always go to a male cashier because I flirt. I get a discount. I flirt with this person, I get this. And I've heard men say the same thing. Men do the same thing. Oh, when I go here, oh, I always call her sweetie or baby. I might slide a little rose, a little flower, do something a little nice. And in turn, I always get a good deal or a good this or a good that. But you're sending a mixed signal. You're giving this person the impression that you have a different interest. So, you got to speak on both sides. You got to cover the entire spectrum. And I think this is something that everybody needs to be educated on. This is why I really feel like sexual misconduct is something that we need to start educating kids on before they get to college. There may be some schools that are doing it. There may be some parents that are doing it, but this is a topic that needs to take place before kids get to college. Because once you get to college, I was a campus safety director. I gave countless speeches about sexual harassment, sexual misconduct with international students. I did the same thing with, our home students. And, one thing you got to understand was I had to alter my lecture, and this is why I say it needs to start early. Students who came from foreign countries have a different mindset when it comes to women. And they had to realize that would not work in the U.S. So we have to start educating our youth early. Don't wait till they get in college and take this one-day computer course or this 2-hour course or sit in this little session for 30, 40 minutes. We need to start putting this in their minds early so they understand the dangers. We understand how this can hurt a person, how this can harm a person, how this can affect a person's life down the line. So we need to start getting this through to them. But a lot of times, we're waiting till kids get into college. And if you don't go to college, which we do have people who don't go to college, they might go to the workforce. Some jobs do have sexual harassment trainings. Some jobs don't. So some people never really get that training. Especially if any leadership course, that needs to be a part of it. It needs to be a strong part of it. But the thing about it is, sexual misconduct should not be tolerated on any spectrum, male or female. And that needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed just like that. You cannot make this as a female only problem. It is a male and female problem. The only way to get a solid resolution, you have to address it like that. If you don't address it as a male and female problem, then you're not going to fix the problem. Because you're pretty much saying women never do this, it's only men. So don't worry about the women. You men, behave. Women, you're good. Keep doing what you're doing. It's not fair. You need to have zero tolerance across the board. Now, hashtag Me Too. Let me tell you why I do not agree with hashtag Me Too. I understand they want more women to speak up. Okay, but here's the thing. I'm looking at this from both sides. If you're going to say, okay, hashtag Me Too, speak up. So you're having someone to say, yes, I was a victim of sexual misconduct, but you're offering no resources, you're offering no counseling. And now you got people going around calling people out. You know, like I saw one girl, she actually took the video camera, put it in this guy's face, and yeah, when I was a child, he sexually did this, he sexually did that. You can start a true firestorm. Because see, once that camera goes down, things can happen behind the camera that you don't see. You're putting both sides at risk. And who's to say that this really happened? What if a male accuses an older woman of sexual misconduct when he was a child, but it never happened? He just didn't like her because he thought she was a mean son of a gun. What if a woman does the same thing to a male? And it never really happened, but that person loses their job because they hit social media. Or other people start to form this coalition deciding that this person needs to pay for what they did. See, before we start doing that, you need to think. Because you are causing someone to relive something they did. I don't agree with hashtag Me Too. I would rather something like hashtag stop sexual misconduct. You know, or, you know, just something that was a little more welcoming so everybody can be a part of it. Men and women. Now, I heard there are some men who responded back and said, you know, hashtag Me Too. But it needs to be something that's not just, hey, I'm sorry. Hey, I was a victim of sexual misconduct. Okay. It needs to be more than that. Sidebar. All of these movements, hashtag Me Too, and I've said this before, Black Lives Matter. If you're going to start a movement, it needs to be about educating both sides. It needs to be about providing resources for both sides. And I've always, and I've said this before, you know, I'm not a supporter of Black Lives Matter because when I go to your website and you're selling more t-shirts and cups and mugs than you are resources, offering resources, there's a problem. Okay, a lot of these movements now are media chasers. That's it. It's all about the media. Social media, regular. It is all about the media. If you're going to be a cause, you need to be a cause that's actually dedicated to helping people, offering resources, you know, directing them to resources that can get them help. If someone says, hashtag Me Too, I was a victim of sexual assault. Okay, is someone reaching out to them? You know, just asking like, hey, you know, when did it happen? You know, how do you feel you recovered from it? You know, are you doing better now? Do you feel threatened? What if someone says I was a victim of sexual, hashtag Me Too 2 weeks ago? Is someone checking into that person? Like, hey, you know, do you mind me asking, how old are you? Oh, 14. Maybe they're asking for help. But because they're just doing it on this so-called social media platform, they're not getting any help. It's just another person saying, hashtag Me Too. You got to be careful when you start doing this. Because if you're going to say that you're a movement, but you're not offering resources, it would break my heart to know that a 14 or 15-year-old or a child of any form, or somebody, a male, female, whatever, has said hashtag me too, I was a victim of sexual assault a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And that's it. If that's the case, then somebody needs to be monitoring that to reach out to that person. If they don't respond back, that's on them. But there needs to be some form of communication, like, hey, to find out a little bit more. Because maybe somebody else needs to get involved. I'll take that out. So when it comes to sexual harassment, sexual misconduct, just to recap, okay. When it comes to sexual harassment and sexual misconduct, I think it's important that we keep an open dialogue, that we're able to listen to each other without attacking each other, without taking everything as somebody doesn't care. You got to realize, they always say that, a man and woman's mindset is different, their thought process is different. So when a person voices their opinion, don't attack them. Try to help them to understand. If you don't agree, and I'm talking about people that's talking rational, that's talking reasonable, not people out there talking crazy. So, you have to have open dialogue. And if you are organizing, or whether you were an individual or a group and you're starting some type of movement, make sure that you're educating both sides. Make sure that you're reaching out to make sure that both sides get the same resources. That's the only way a movement is going to work. And most of all, respect each other. Take time to learn, and let's figure out a way to educate. Let's start this education process earlier about sexual misconduct. And for those of you out there in the workforce, for those of you out there in the entertainment industry, for those of you who are out there in positions of authority and who are presumed to have power over people as far as, job and advancement and career opportunities, or give people a career opportunity based on their skills, their credits. Don't hurt someone. Don't force someone to have to live with this type of behavior in their life, because this really could affect a person emotionally, mentally, and it really can affect their ability to have a real relationship. So whether you're a male or female, sexual misconduct is not right. It's wrong. It's illegal. Have some morals about the way you carry yourself, and some proper work ethics about the way you conduct yourself when handling business. Don't give in to sexual misconduct. And don't be a person that adds to the sexual misconduct by being a participant in that immoral and illegal behavior. I'm Reggie Maz with Arm Viaging. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you do, leave a comment down below. Make sure you subscribe. I know I've been away for a while, but I'm back and I'm going to try to keep pumping these videos out for you. So if you like this, check it out. Also, don't forget to check out my blog, New Life, New Mind blog, where I've also had an article on this same topic, and I also have some other great articles that you might like. Remember, always look to revitalize hope and to revitalize hope in someone else. Thank you, guys. I'll see you next time.
From above, no, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Now I know some days you may feel blue, Lord. Trust in your greatness to see you through. Don't look back, it's not the end. Give life your best, and I know you can win. You see, as a friend, I'm here for you. You should know that. As a friend, I'm here for you. Here I stand with you, wishing you the best in all you do. Always wishing you the best in all you do. Always look for the breeze of love, calm and gentle from above. No, 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 no. Ooh, yeah. Calm and gentle